For many years in our country, there's been this image of Christian family values. Christian family values. I'm wanting to invite you to throw out what words or images describe the Christian family. When you hear that phrase, Christian family values, what comes up for you? Unconditional love. What else? If you don't hate your father and mother and follow me, you cannot be my disciple. What else? Pray together. Boy, I must be so cynical. When I hear that, I hear hypocrisy or image. Those were some of the words that came up for me. Anybody else have a word? Okay, I want to thank you for those because I think that you are going where I want to go, and I want to go where I want to go, both places. So today we have this lesson from Genesis, and as you remember, over this course of the summer, we've been spending time in the book of Genesis, hearing these stories of our heritage. First we hear about Abraham, and then we hear about Isaac, and then we're hearing today about Jacob, although the lesson is really about Joseph. And you will remember that Jacob is also renamed Israel. You may remember that Jacob was a twin, and his brother Esau was the firstborn. And Jacob conspires with his mother to get the birthright from his father. So he's kind of a snaky guy, Jacob is. Also, you may remember that Abraham also was kind of squishy morally, kind of putting out his wife for sexual pleasures of other people. And he had a first child from his slave woman called Ishmael, who gets thrown away, basically, into the wilderness, and all of the hopes are placed on Isaac, the favored son. So then we come to Jacob, who is now old. He has worked for 14 years to marry Rachel. Joseph is his son from that marriage, but she's barren until her menopausal time, and she gives birth to Joseph. But in the meantime, he's had 3 other wives. He's had Leah, who was the one he got tricked into marrying. This is Rachel's sister. And he's had Zilpah and Bilhah, who are the maids of his 2 wives with whom he's had children. So at the point that we're getting to this story, he has 12 sons, 2 of whom have come from Rachel. We don't hear about Benjamin yet. That comes next week. And we're hearing today about Joseph, who's kind of a precocious kid. I think if he were in our schools today, we might think he had ADHD or autism. He has these weird dreams, and he's the favored one of his father, who protects him from his bigger brothers who are jealous of him because he's the favorite. And he doesn't know that you suck that up and are quiet about it, because everybody knows who's the favored child if there is a favored one. But Jacob is not subtle. We know this about him. He gives Joseph this fancy coat that's embroidered with the long sleeves. In the text, we're told twice that it has long sleeves, because not everybody gets long sleeves. Joseph gets long sleeves. Joseph has dreams where all of his brothers are bowing down to him, and he's so out of it, he tells them that dream, which really endears him to them. We don't get that part in the reading. Jealousy in this family is a real thing. And they conspire, the brothers do, to kill him because he's a snitch and a pain, and they're ready to be done with him. And so they throw him into that pit, and because the eldest is afraid of what his daddy's going to say, he kind of half-heartedly defends him and says, we won't kill him, we'll just put him in this big hole that has no water in it, and then let nature take its course. Except they learn that they can profit from it. And any of us who have had to deal with a family that's dealing with an estate where people are bitter about it, know that if you can get a piece of the pie, no matter how small, you want your piece. So for 20 pieces of silver, they sell Joseph into slavery in Egypt. These are our roots. These are our family values. And while as Christians we may think, oh, that's Old Testament, we don't have to pay attention to it, I want to submit that this is really good news. This highly dysfunctional family, where there are multiple wives and divorces and jealousies and bitterness and brokenness, are like our families on a bad day. On a good day, we can be embodying the Christian values that we outlined here today. But on a bad day, it is easy for us to get discouraged and think somehow we are not living up to all that we ought to be. Some of us are living with addiction in our families. Some of us may be having addiction ourselves. Some of our children may be having issues with learning or with eating disorders. There may be violence in our families. There may be avarice as we jockey for money and don't share common vision about care of elders or dreams of housing or of responsibilities. Our families can be like Joseph's family. Those brokennesses, the shame that we may feel, the exasperation and hatred we may have for each other, have biblical warrant. That is not to say we want to stay in that place. It is to say those are human emotions and that God is working and revealing even in the midst of the mess. Because it is through Jacob's line that salvation happens. God is working through that mess to ensure that a people who knows God embodies the promise. And the promise is not broken, even though we are terribly. And not all the time. Joseph's enslavement in Egypt, we will hear more about next week. Even that experience gets redeemed for God's people and for this family. And so today, I want to invite you, as you are living with your family with its own individual foibles, because we all have them, to be gentle with yourself and not be judging how you are a parent, how you are a son, how you are present to your family of choice, but to honor the fact that God can work even through the mess to fulfill God's promise. And not only can God do it, God is doing it now in and through you.